The world of Hell's Paradise is deemed heavenly from the outset. However, the rotten, infernal viciousness that emerges from the otherwise mesmerizing floral landscape makes it quite a thrilling watch. In fact, the tweet from the official page of Anime TV on the announcement of Season 2 was welcomed with over 2.5 million views and nearly 45k likes in a very short amount of time. This goes to show you how popular the anime series has become within a matter of months. And it was kind of foreseen already. Although still labeled as an underrated anime, Hell's Paradise garnered a lot of praise for its captivating art and phenomenal visual storytelling. While the story is more or less related to the atypical elements of love, betrayal, camaraderie, and respect, Hell's Paradise clearly stood out among the other anime releases of 2023 for its engaging cast of characters, especially the ones in the lead. Since we talked about the protagonist Gabimaru in detail in a recent video, here we'll be focusing more on our deuteragonist. So, in this video, we'll be exploring the other main character of the series, Yamada Asaemon Sagiri, as we highlight her origin story and discuss how her powers and abilities stem from her extraordinary anatomy. And if you enjoy watching our content, then please like our video, hit the subscribe button, share this channel among your otaku community. We at Marvelous Anime bring you the best of anime, from trailer breakdowns to analysis videos and so much more. So without further ado, let's get into it. She comes from a family of executioners, yet her own status is quite unusual. Understanding the background of Yamada Asaemon Sagiri. To simplify the origin story for you, we'll first talk about the Yamada Asaemon clan and then throw light on the swordswoman herself. The Yamada clan in a nutshell. The Yamada is described as an important clan that prevailed during the Edo period in Japan. First mentioned by one of the officials of the magistrate's office in the pilot episode, the Yamada clan is known for its professional group of sword testers who also worked as executioners, hence the title Asaemon. They are well versed in the art of sword fighting, and they're experts in the studies of human physiology. The supremacy of their skill is testified by the claim that the Yamada Asaemon members can execute convicts with a single blow. Now, given the fact that the purpose of their work is to decapitate criminals on death row, the executioners of the Yamada Asaemon clan are taught to detach themselves from any sympathetic or empathic associations with the convicts. But taking one's life with complete indifference is something Sagiri was unable to do, and this hindered her swordsmanship to a great extent. So, where do we posit her in the grand scheme of things? Let's find out. Sagiri's past. Sagiri is the daughter of Yamada Asaemon Kichiji, the head of the Yamada clan. Although raised as the heir apparent to the position of the clan head, Sagiri faced a crisis as a young girl when she first realized the inevitability of witnessing death on a daily basis. The very act of committing the same as part of a procedure of punishing someone was unimaginable to Sagiri. Yet, in this blood-soaked abyss of despair, the young girl gathered enough courage to prepare herself as a Yamada Asaemon. This was mostly driven by a sheer sense of awe when she first witnessed the swiftness of her father's blade as he executed a convict. However, her childhood was difficult to say the least. Sagiri's hardships stemmed from her socio-cultural background. Firstly, she was deemed an outcast by her peers due to her lineage. After all, belonging to a family of executioners is not something that society would perceive as honorable. On top of that, the members of her own clan look down upon her because of one thing: she's a woman. Sagiri's gender has been a source of much vexation from the Yamada Asaemon, particularly her own father. As a matter of fact, it was deemed as an audacious attempt by a woman who would abandon her quote-unquote womanly duties only to follow the path of the samurai. Yet, Sagiri did not back down. With much dedication and patience, she was successful in earning the title of Yamada Asaemon. For this, she is indebted to Yamada Asaemon Shugen, who is one of the most powerful executioners in the clan, for his invaluable support. Now, speaking of swordsmanship, Sagiri was seemingly breathtaking in the pilot episode of Hell's Paradise. However, from the second episode onwards, she is gradually presented as the 12th ranked Yamada Asaemon who's struggling to be at par with her fellow swordsmen. While the lack of battle experience is the major reason, it's her inability to let off the burden of those convicts that she had executed since day one. But this doesn't mean that she's weak. In fact, she's far from it. An exceptionally skilled fighter deserving of her rank. The insane anatomy of Yamada Asaemon Sagiri. As far as the physical attributes are concerned, the 17-year-old Sagiri is a tall and slender woman carrying a katana on her left side. With a stature of 172 centimeters, Sagiri is the tallest female character in the cast. Her hair is tied up into a ponytail using a red ribbon, and the outfit she wears is the standard Yamada Asaemon uniform, except for one accessory. She wraps a red obi belt that is broader than that of her male colleagues. But what about her powers and abilities? Let's explore further. The skills of the swordswoman. The first time Sagiri is seen in combat is during her attempt to decapitate Gabimaru in the first episode of Hell's Paradise. Even for the best shinobi of the Iwagakure, Gabimaru the Hollow was momentarily scared when Sagiri drew first blood. As we discussed in our previous video on Gabimaru's anatomy, he is normally able to harden his skin at will, so that an ordinary executioner would have to take several attempts to behead him, only to break his katana in the process. But Sagiri is not an ordinary executioner. She's a Yamada Asaemon, and perhaps the only one who was able to leave a small cut on Gabimaru's neck during their fight in episode 1. In case you haven't watched our previous video, what are you waiting for? Head to our channel right away. Coming back to Sagiri's anatomy, her calm gait complements her piercing gaze, which unsettled the white-haired assassin so much that he was forced to fight for his life against Sagiri. So, one thing's for certain, Sagiri's presence does strike fear in the hearts of her adversaries if she is in her best version, or else her composure might just collapse due to a simple yet dangerous flaw, her fear. But before we get into that, let's look at her other abilities as a Yamada Asaemon. Sagiri possesses a phenomenal degree of agility, which is depicted time and again throughout the first season of Hell's Paradise. For instance, in their first fight, Gabimaru failed to notice Sagiri sneaking up on him to strike his neck until the small bell on her uniform rang slightly. However, Sagiri's strength was tested during her fight against Rokurota as she successfully defended herself by blocking every single punch that the gigantic convict threw in her direction. So it can be inferred that Sagiri is able to utilize her tall stature to release enough force to deal damage against her adversaries with imperceptible swiftness. One of her infamous kenjutsu techniques in combat is the one-sword school test cutting armor splitter, using which a user swings the katana towards the opponent in order to defend from an incoming attack by an assailant. Sagiri's skills. Other than kenjutsu, Sagiri possesses a sharp sense for discerning the actual feelings of those who are on the verge of death. This is best depicted during Gabimaru's third execution when Sagiri discovers that the white-haired assassin restrained himself from getting gruesomely split in half by the bulls. She later deduces that it's Gabimaru's love for his wife that is motivating him to protect himself at all costs so that the couple can lead a normal life. In a way, Sagiri can see through people, but this vision is better captured by her own katana. As per the tradition of the Yamada clan, it is said that the true nature of an individual is revealed through the reflection of an Asaemon's blade, which we will discuss in detail in the next section. Another major skill that Sagiri possesses is a scientific bend of mind. Though not quite as big of a nerd as Yamada Asaemon Senta and Fuchi, Sagiri's expertise in human anatomy goes in tandem with her tendency to analyze the body parts of various creatures and understand their physiological features. This is seen in Hell's Paradise when Sagiri dissects some of the Soshin to learn about their physical attributes, especially the inability to reproduce due to the absence of genitalia. But the young female executioner of the Yamada clan struggles immensely when it comes to fulfilling her potential. What could be the reason? Let's find out. Weaknesses. In the words of Yamada Asaemon Aizen, Sagiri's swordsmanship exhibits doubt and fear, which is uncharacteristic of the Yamada Asaemon culture in general. According to Aizen, Sagiri's kenjutsu skills would be further hindered if she were to question her abilities, thus resulting in a painful death to the convicts of death row. Having been taught in the way of the Yamada clan, Sagiri is aware that the blade of the katana reflects the truth in oneself. Sadly, the only thing Sagiri can see on the blade are the grotesque ghosts of the convicts she has beheaded in her career, which further adds to her crippling self-doubt. So, every time she lifts the katana to do her job, Sagiri's blade feels heavy with the burden of the departed criminals who suffer in the afterlife. In a way, it can be said that Sagiri's fear of failure as a Yamada Asaemon stems from the philosophy that is propagated in the Yamada clan. Since they are known for being sword testers and executioners, as well as dealing with human corpses, the members of the clan normalize killing as an honorable duty done for the convicts who sit under the glistening blade. Sagiri's fear, one of the primal instincts of a human being, emerges from her inability to accept this philosophy, and in turn, her fate as an executioner. Her apprehension is of such unfathomable levels that it took a few casual words by Gabimaru to dispel it from Sagiri's mind. Killing people is never okay, you know? Thus, we can agree that Sagiri is looking for ways to seek this acceptance from others so that they can understand that even as a Yamada Asaemon herself, it's not possible to take the life of someone else without hesitation and emotion. As humans, we can never pardon ourselves for the wrongs we commit as long as we have a conscience, and Sagiri embodies this idea perfectly. Even then, Sagiri, the executioner of the Yamada clan, is the only human shown in Season 1 with a life force that is greater and more powerful than that of her seniors. So, what kind of Tao does Sagiri possess? A natural Tao genius whose powers relate to nature. Sagiri's wood element Tao. Sagiri's Tao is based largely on the attributes of wood. This implies that the female Yamada Asaemon has superior strength, flexibility, and agility when compared to other characters in Hell's Paradise. So how does the wood element Tao make Sagiri a formidable fighter? The wood attribute Tao enables the female Yamada Asaemon to detect the presence of people in close proximity as well as read their intent by seeing the flow of their respective Tao. This was best depicted in the fight against Mudan, one of the Tensen. As she aided Yamada Asaemon Shion during the battle, it was observed that Sagiri could read the movement of the Kishikai stingers that were directed at them, which is why she was able to cut them off each and every time without sustaining an injury. This was enough to convince Shion that Sagiri had not only grasped the idea of Tao, but was also able to utilize it to the fullest during combat. Given how powerful her Tao was capable of being, Sagiri managed to keep it under wraps, as per Yuzuriha's suggestion, so that the former could retain the element of surprise while fighting against her enemies. While the idea of Tao is something Sagiri learned after she reached Shinsenkyo, Sagiri's thoughts and actions have always been on the basis of a remarkable concept, the middle way. A brilliant boost to her own Tao, the middle way can be defined as the acknowledgement by the user of the opposing ideas and emotions that torment their being, be it psychologically or spiritually. While it's easy to repress our feelings in any given situation, we often find it difficult to simply accept the conflicting thoughts and emotions that might disrupt our own sense of self. Sagiri was faced with a similar situation during her fight against Rokuroda. Her fears seemed to clash with her ability as an executioner, which is why there was a lot of failed attempts on her part to even land a scratch on Rokuroda's skin. But then she finally came to terms with her own self from within, accepting the torrential nature of her apprehension and the tranquil dimension of her profession. This was beautifully depicted in the anime with the rough waves and the calm waves respectively, as Sagiri tried to accept the polarity of her emotions. With this, she concentrates on her breathing to further calm herself down, which directly fuels her Tao to a degree that is unimaginable and unanticipated by her peers and viewers alike. Marvelous verdict! Indeed, Sagiri's appearance may seem like that of a damsel who must be rescued by a samurai with a shining katana, but our female Yamada Asaemon can fend for herself in the most dire of circumstances. Her very presence as the deuteragonist of Hell's Paradise busts the various myths that surround female anime characters, who are often placed second to the male lead. Although her powers and abilities, be it Kenjutsu or Tao, stem from her anatomy, it is Sagiri's stubbornness in coalescence with her grit that helps her go the extra mile. Most importantly, it's her conscience that helps her make the toughest decisions in the worst circumstances, all for the sake of those she's responsible for. That's all we got for you this time, but thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.